A Rumble's always determined by who wins it, right? That's if it's a good Rumble or not a good Rumble. Roman Reigns doesn't need to main event Mania again. Seth Rollins doesn't need to.
Welcome everybody, the Scots are taking over in what is the first of a brand new series here on the FiveMarks Network, an unnamed series hosted by myself, the only Mark on the FiveMarks Network, and finally back from a very long break, a well-deserved break, but someone who brought enough controversy to X over the last month that he could have ran the weekly controversies all by himself. It is Aaron with us today. Aaron, how's it going?
The saviour of the FiveMarks channel is here.
It very much could be something like that, to be fair. Yeah, the rebrand of Weekly Controversies has been spun out into what is this. Your new show here on the FiveMarks Network, where Aaron and I will get together with some of your favorite podcasters from the network. Our plan really for this is to go around the ring with our big US promotions. So we'll mainly be talking WWE, AEW. We'll kind of look at the big news across wrestling in general. I've got a stacked show for today, given that we are straight back off the Rumble Royal, as Batista once called it, and looking at Raw's transition to Netflix, or for us in Europe, every show being now on Netflix. RIP, the WWE Network. But we'll touch on a few other things going on in the world of wrestling as well as having our very own little gimmicks going forward. One of which we can kick off with. Our backgrounds of the day, random wrestler of the bye week. Each of us every week or every pod will have a random background going. It's not going to be blurry and only blurry. I'll invite Aaron to give me his random wrestler of the week. I'll also give him a few seconds while I pad as he tries to sort his Zoom background out. Who've you got and why?
Thank you, Mark. Well, look, whoever it is going to be a big improvement on my camera right now. I look like I'm in the 1920s. I don't know what's going on with my camera, but I appreciate people are going to be listening in, so we'll have no idea what I'm on about. So, random wrestler of the day. I've got no thought process for this. When we just were chatting about it, a wrestler of the day, this is the man that came to my mind, and I think it's got something to do with watching older stuff on Netflix. But the man that I have chosen is, drum roll please,
Got a lot of technicalities.
yeah, it's just it's taking longer than expected. Very professional. My man is none other than Hacksaw Jim Duggan, the first Royal Rumble winner, 1988. I want to say might be 87, but I think it's 88. The man who I known from my childhood as the man who tag teamed with Eugene, and the man who was a victim of Eugene's heel turn. So that is the man I've gone with, America's own Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Well, okay, it's not the choice I was expecting, but to be fair, you've actually linked it really nicely to the fact that we are straight off the back of the Royal Rumble. Hacksaw Jim Duggan was the first winner of the Royal Rumble as well. And yeah, I guess when we were growing up, Hacksaw just kind of appeared and shouted, "Oh!" And that was kind of it. That was his gimmick. A solid worker, I'm sure, in his own day, but yeah, now that I don't have the WWE Network and have to try and use Netflix UI to find his best matches, I'll probably give it a miss. But yeah, I'm sure he gave us enough memories as we watched growing up. Okay.
Did you pop?
I popped. I think I'll pop you.
Nice.
I think I'll pop you there.
Good. Go for it.
Okay, my wrestler of the week is this man. You want to talk about random wrestlers? We talk about the ultimate random wrestler. This is Kazarni. Does anyone remember Kazani? Probably not. Other than his odd promo style, where he would use some sort of odd language to add Arn or something into everything he would say. I don't think he was ever going to make it. What do you think?
Yeah, he just rhymed everything. They just put like like a Y at the end, like like is that what he did?
Yeah, yeah.
That's yeah.
I can't even think
It's
of
like
Royal
I'm going to the ringy,
yeah,
rumbly,
royally
and
rumbly.
I'm going to
Uh,
pin you, or I'm going to body slam you, whatever. Yeah, to be honest, I can't even remember him having a match. I just remember his like promos, but yeah, talk about random wrestlers, like he's up there. I always get him and Mordecai mixed up.
yeah,
Is that sort
Mordecai
of
being Mike Knox. Well, look at this. This could have been
MVP?
this could have been Kazani's debut. The listeners will, I'm sure, correct us if I'm wrong, but this is a cover of Kazani on MVP back in about 2008, 2009. So yeah, Kazani probably maybe known just for that and backstage promos. I'm sorry it's not such a legend like a Hall of Famer like Hacksaw Jim Duggan, but yeah, Kazani, if you're listening. You made an impact on me enough to be my rest of the week. Thanks for coming.
Well, he'll like you because your last name's sorry, your name's Marquet. Marquet. So Kazarni,
It,
Marquet. There
it
you
could
go.
be. Let's not talk about that one again.
Yeah,
Okay.
shy patter. But anyway, let's move on.
I'll leave Kazani on the screen for the rest of the podcast so everyone can have a laugh at the fact that if you're joining us a little bit later on or skipping through, why on earth is Kazani there? You'll know why. Random wrestler of the week is Kazani. But enough about that. Going back to the reason we are here, it is ultimately the renaissance of the FiveMarks Network, our show that we're going to be running every second week in conjunction as well as the FiveMarks podcast. And this one's focusing on WWE and AEW, one of which I know you watch religiously, Aaron. You're a huge AEW mark. Good thing we don't really have much to talk about with AEW to get you talking. Instead, we do have the small matter of what was the biggest Royal Rumble of all time. So we're going to
So,
review the Rumble and go through match by match, talk about the results, talk about what it means. Royal Rumble 2025.
well, I mean, I'm gonna go like jump straight right in it. You obviously watched it not live. I watched live. You didn't watch it live. You'd obviously seen what happened before watching it, but what were your overall thoughts on the show?
Um, so I think it's really different. Both of us watching slightly differently. With you watching it live, me not watching it live. I feel
Yeah.
like if you watch it live, no matter what, I think your reaction to the Royal Rumble, watching it live, every single time is disappointment. And it's not your fault. It's not the viewer's fault they're disappointed, but you have so many ideas flowing in your head as to where it could go and what could happen, who's going to go over, who's going to appear, whatever. You start coming up with crazy ideas, and it never lives up to it. So my viewing, I watched the full women's Rumble match and then went to bed because I can't really be bothered staying up. I watch it the next morning. But I checked my phone, and yours truly, you decided to message just saying, "Let me know when you've seen it." And I said, "Well, something must have happened." So I open Instagram and I see one spoiler, which I knew I was going to get. That's fine. I just wanted to know, is it worth me knowing? Will I be disappointed? And I thought I'm actually happy to watch the Royal Rumble knowing who's going to win. And it gave me a slightly different view. I watched it with the disappointment beforehand about the results, but I actually watched the show and I found myself enjoying it. And I found myself really, really liking the booking of the men's Royal Rumble, the Cody Kevin Owens match, and I didn't so much love the women's Rumble Royal match. I'm gonna constantly call it that. Sorry, Dave. Um, and I think yeah, the 2 out of 3 falls we could maybe skip. Yeah, I enjoyed it more than I thought I would based on the results.
Mm. think. I guess let's start with the women's then. That's the one you watched first. Well, that was the first match on the card. Um, we spoke about this the other day actually. I just a rumble's always determined by who wins it, right? That's if it's a good rumble or not a good rumble. And I just think 90% of people probably knew it was going to be Charlotte. And maybe there was a 10% chance you think it could be Io Sky potentially, maybe. Um, but I don't know. I thought it was an alright Rumble match. I was like intrigued by it. I thought the wrestling was good. Loved the stuff with Chelsea Green, Piper Niven, even though it was brief. I think that's just planting the seeds there for Mania. I think she's great, Chelsea Green. Um, there was some good stuff in there, but what I didn't like, and what I never like is when certain wrestlers get the preferential treatment, like Charlotte Flair. Forget her winning it. She gets all the big pyro at the beginning. It's like, come on. Like, you just know it's so obvious. It's just so obvious. Um, and I think as soon as she came in, just the flow of the match changed. And I also thought, I don't know what you thought when everyone got eliminated, when Nia Jax eliminated like 4 or 5 people with like Io Sky and a few others. I just thought that was a bit of a clusterfuck. A little bit. I didn't know what was going on. All of a sudden, you had all these people, and they just all came out. And I think after that moment, you just knew Charlotte Flair was going to win if you didn't know before. So I just think the excitement sort of went just because of the predictability nature of it.
Yeah, it's hard to track sometimes with these shows, and one of like the big criticisms since Paul Levesque has taken the reins is his booking of the Royal Rumble. And the big criticism that comes from that is normally the Rumble is pointless other than the winner, right? The winner is defined, you watch it, they get the main event, yada yada. But in the past, like Rumbles were booked to shock you, they were booked to plant seeds for Mania, they were booked for this, this,
Hmm.
and that. And in terms of the women's Rumble, I don't think anything really came from that Rumble that will stand us in long-term storytelling stead. I don't think the if those are seeds to be planted with Chelsea and Piper Niven, I don't think it'll be something that they'll really call back on just yet. I think it could be seen as
Hmm.
like a happy accident. I think having Roxanne Perez go to the final two was just a sign of like, okay, she's really good, but she's probably still going to be on NXT and feuding with Bailey anyway. What is happening with that Rumble, or what is happening beyond that Rumble that's taking us through other stories? That was my big issue with it, and that's why I found it quite boring. It was like, okay, this person comes in, gets to do their moves, does their kip up, and then we go again. The next person comes in, people are watching. It just seemed very like formulaic to me. I don't have a problem with Charlotte winning. I have a problem with Charlotte being announced because if
Yeah.
Charlotte makes the return, then at that point she's like, "Oh my God, Charlotte's here. She may win." But you probably would have went into it not thinking Charlotte is the winner, and that's the
Hmm.
difference. So for me, I didn't love that women's Royal Rumble. There's some returns there that we can talk about that were good. Seeing Alexa Bliss come back was cool, and Trish appearing, Nikki Bella coming back as well. It's like it's great, but in
Is it
terms of
great?
like,
Is it really great?
it's
Like
great for her.
seriously,
It's great for her. She had a tough year.
is it great? Fuck that, right? Is it great? No, it's not great. It's not great. Nikki Bella's gonna like coming back. Nikki Bella will always be known. Obviously, I don't condone what happened to her the last year, but she'll just be known as the person that rejected John Cena. That's all she'll ever be known for. And also her stepdad is not a nice guy. So like
Ugh, depends what you
that,
think of people power.
yeah,
But
that's that's
to be
all.
fair, I would also like to add in she would also possibly be known for season 3 of the US Traitors.
Oh, I've not even seen any of the trailers. Is she in it?
She's in season 3.
I bet she should be a good traitor because she's a sneaky little bitch.
Gotta watch to find out. You gotta watch to find out. She could do a bit of twin magic. But yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah, like
It
I've got nothing against her. I just think she's a bit. I don't know. I think our time's passed. I never really rated the Bella Twins really in terms of wrestlers, and I think it's like it's just the number 30. You got such a big, you got such a big hope. And then there was obviously the rumors that she was going to appear, and you're like, oh, of course it was going to be her. And I just, that's how I felt with that one. Nothing against her. I got more out of Trish coming back, even though she's been more of a regular. But you're right, the Rumble isn't really about surprises anymore, really. But I also think of the women's one. I think unless Becky Lynch came out, I don't think I would have been really surprised by anyone coming out in the women's. I think because they normally they have saturated the women's rumbles um, in the past. So
Yeah, it's always been about returns or NXT people. And I think the
yeah,
word you used was rumors. Rumors, um, Michael Sidgwick of the What Culture podcast would hate me for saying this. Sorry, I'm a long term listener to that. Alliteration. He doesn't like, it's a work of the devil. But rumors ruin Royal Rumble, in my opinion, because rumors
yeah,
spread, and that's what makes you believe something will happen. Like if AJ Lee appears, hooray, everyone's going to cheer, but
oh yeah,
she doesn't. There's a rumor that she's there or not. Is that sort of
yeah.
stuff ruins it for me.
Do you remember
But
last year? Remember last year in the men's? Apparently MJF was backstage. We were watching the Rumble, the 2024 Royal Rumble on where were we? Box Park in Wembley. And I was just waiting for MJF to come out at 30, but of course it was Sami Zayn returning from injury. Not like I forget. But yeah, no, you're right. You're right with the rumors. I thought it was. Look, I guess Charlotte is the biggest draw there. I think if they didn't book the way they booked Io Sky in the last couple of months, if they didn't book her like that, I think she might have been a credible winner. But then in saying that, when you look at what happened in the men's, maybe it's fair enough you go with the obvious for the women's. Maybe, because there was that shock factor later on in the night.
that's a balancing act. I think
Yeah.
they had to play with the booking, and also, someone like Charlotte is going to main event WrestleMania. Well, is going to challenge for a title at WrestleMania, I guess.
Not main eventing.
The-
She might open. She might open a show. She might open a show. Which is just as good as main eventing, really. In
Well,
terms of
I
like
would
a
probably watch
show.
that and then fall asleep, to be fair.
Yeah, well, as long as it's better than last year's opener. I mean, last WrestleMania. Funny enough, I wasn't a big fan of Rhea Ripley Becky Lynch match, but a lot of people were. Just shows you.
We spoke about it on the weekly controversies. Yeah, it was one that I enjoyed and said that our man Tony gave Becky Lynch step throat. Cheers, Tony. Let's move on to the second match, and I don't know. Do we do bets? Can we? You're rubbing your hands together, which is really annoying because I was going to say, can we skip it? But no, go for it. If we're
Look,
if we're gonna have any segment on this show, I think the Aaron rant is coming back. So you can have the floor
yeah.
for this one. I'm happy to skip this one.
Well, we can call it Brez's rants or whatever you want to call it, but I think this could be a weekly thing of my disdain for the motor machine guns. Who I think are a poor man's Paul London and Brian Kendrick. They were the tag team that I grew up liking, I guess, in like 2004, 2005. And now we live in a world where you've got all these technical wrestlers and everyone's got to be appreciated. And these guys who work hard, blah, 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 come to WWE and they get shoved down our throats when they're literally not that special. I do not get the hype with them. With I don't I have seen a bit of their work in TNA, but I watch them and I do not see any difference between them and Paul London, Brian Kendrick. At least Brian Kendrick and Paul London had energy. They ran to the ring, they had good entrance music. It was fast, it was quick pace. The move set was better. The sliced bread number two. Brian Kendrick, what a finisher that is. I just don't get these guys at all, Mark. I really don't. They're no better than the other tag teams on Raw and SmackDown. I mean, that's probably really controversial to some people, but fuck it. Their match with DIY are another team that I think they're all right, but I just think their character works like meh, and their ring work is no better than other wrestlers in the roster. I've got to be honest. Their match was fine, but when you watch a tag team match every single week, Raw, SmackDown, pay per view, normally goes 10, 15 minutes, and then you reach the crescendo, and then you might get a pinfall or whatever. But just because it's 2 out of 3 falls, you miraculously have to get a pin straight away. Straight away. and doing a move that I know we've not seen in years, but we saw with Sheamus and Cesaro when they won the tag team titles. I don't know. I thought it was obvious he didn't tag him in. I didn't think it was that clever. And then I thought when more machine guns got the pinfall to make it 1-1. I just thought they could have been broken up. It was just so flat, and it's because you have that 2 out of 3 falls stipulation. I'd rather them just have a long match and just go for it for that time period instead of 2 out of 3 falls stipulation. And then the finish as well was just cheap. I thought the whole purpose of this was actually to give the best tag team in the world, your tag team's favorite tag team, a pay-per-view win in their pay-per-view debut. It is a pay-per-view debut, isn't it? I'm right in saying that. I want to be
Testing me.
right.
You're testing me.
I want to be right because I'm going to sound an absolute mark and a
Goober.
half. Goober. If like not knowing my stats, it's emotions getting to me just because I really don't like these guys. It's probably just because I've got them shoved down my throat, really, or everyone's throat. I thought the match underwhelming. The crowd didn't help. It was, yeah. I mean, that's my take on it. It's not my style of wrestling. Sue me.
Um, I mean, I agree with most of what you've said, other than I do think they're good. I think the issue with those tag teams are not the tag teams themselves. It's the booking, it's the TV time, it's the character work. I think every tag team pretty much that's not like gimmicky has an issue in WWE. Um, this is maybe one for another day, but you look at like Pretty Deadly, and you think actually they've got a bit of character. I quite like them. They're
But
fun.
they're
They're
good in the ring
funny.
as well. They're actually quite good in the
Yeah.
ring.
You look at A-Town Down Under, you think there's a dynamic there. They're good. They're good in the mic.
They're
There's
good in the
something
ring,
there.
and they're good in the ring.
But then you look at DIY. You look at the Motor City Machine Guns. You look at the War Raiders as well, and you think, what? Like they're just holding belts. They've lost all character. They're just hairy bikers, and the way they speak, there's nothing to them. There's no character development. So happy to move on. I agree with your thoughts on the actual match itself.
Was I just calling more machine guns? Was there
You
more
were,
saying?
you were. I was
So
waiting
so
for
so I know. So
I
so
was
so
waiting for
I
the
know.
comment section below to uh to
So
correct that
honestly,
one.
so, I mean, there must be a stronger word than goober. I mean, there will be. There will be.
I mean, it
You
can't
just
be a
find it
mark
my way.
because there's only one of them on this network.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know why I'm laughing at that. Anyway, let's move on.
Yeah, moving on then to the undisputed ladder match
Yeah.
between your man Cody, Cody Rhodes, and probably actually your man Kevin Owens.
hmm hmm
This one was really spot heavy and hard hitting,
Yeah.
a good watch,
Yeah.
but like a tough watch on the eye. They put themselves through it.
Uh-huh.
Um, they were trying to steal the show, did they?
Oh no, the match is great. Like I said to you like the other day, something about a one-on-one ladder match that I don't know. I always prefer them in like multi-man because you always feel like someone could easily win and they just beat their opponent down more. Just realistically, they could easily win when they're on top. Just beat them down more. But in terms of the match and the finish, it was brilliant. Kevin Owens is just the man. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. But it was just a really good match. And the thing is, some of Cody's wins have been a bit questionable, and how he's done it. Like the last match with Kevin Owens with winning on Steel's chair. But yeah, no. To be honest, it was perfect for Cody to go over. What would have been even better if Owens would have won, if the spot had been reversed, but that was never going to happen, right? So I thought it was a good match. I'm very happy Orton wasn't there to interfere. I thought that was the obvious it was going to happen. And I mean, it's very split in the middle whether people want to see Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens again, but I actually like Sami Zayn's involvement by just doing nothing. And the visuals, I actually thought it added to the match. It was a clever. So the one thing about Triple H and Paul Levesque, whatever his name is, I'll give him a hard time, right? As you guys will find out. Listen to this. I'm not a big Paul Levesque guy, but there's some subtle things he does in stories that I think is unmatched. And like something like that with Sammy just coming out, and it's not a big deal, but I just thought it added so much to it. towards the end, and the visual with Cody holding the belt, and Owens looks dead really from that spot. Um, Great Alabama Slam or Slammer or Alabama Slam, I'm going to call it. It's not as good as the main man Hardcore Holly doing it, but it was good.
It's a move that doesn't look devastating,
Nah.
but it's extremely devastating to take. And if you're going to do it and make it devastating, do it on a ladder like that. It was the perfect finish. I agree entirely with the Sami Zayn point as well. I think that obviously led to what we saw on Raw. The Rumble's obviously still fairly fresh, but by the time this
Yeah.
goes out, people probably had a lot of content to hear about it.
Mhm.
So touching a little bit on Raw and the way that developed.
Yeah.
Cody, not seen on Raw, but Kevin Owens,
Injured with inverted commas.
yeah,
Sorry.
Kevin Owens with his black eye coming out and giving Sami Zayn a package pile driver. So there is that. Um, that's long-term story. I mean, really, really long-term if you want to take it all the way back. But it is at least development for Kevin Owens. My issue with the match, um, isn't actually anything to do with the match. It's to do with the character. It's to do with Kevin Owens. And hey, there's plenty of other people that we'll probably touch on that I'll be asking this question about. But where do they go from here? Like, how can you have such a good year and have nothing to show for it? It almost seems like when Mania comes about, back to the mid card you go. And yeah, there's certain individuals I'm sure we'll talk about later on that
Yes.
will
Yeah.
scream just that. That's my main issue with the
Well,
booking.
that's why I've said to you before, that's why Cody going into Mania as champion is 100% what they should have done. But Kevin Owens should have won the title the last time that they fought. What pay-per-view was it? It was after, it wasn't was it the first Saturday night main event? That's what it was.
Yeah,
So Kevin Owens should have won that match. And then Cody goes over in the Rumble. Last time ever. So it's 1-1 and then that's it. And then Cody goes to Mania as the champion. But Owens should 100% have won that match. Saturday night's main event. Because you're right, he's done great work for a long time now. And he always loses. And the thing is, when someone turns heel or face, whatever, but normally they turn heel, they go on a run of wins, to get a winning streak going. Kevin Owens hasn't had that. He's just looked menacing, And then if he comes back and fights Orton or whatever that's going to be, you've then got two guys that just don't win on pay-per-views. They just don't win, come up against each other. So I don't know whoever comes out on top. Do they really get rubbed? Do they really get momentum? Because it's basically a lose-lose that match when
yeah.
you look at it. If and I think it's a shame. That we'll talk about it later. Kevin Owens is not the only one in that predicament, but I do think out everybody. Kevin Owens has actually had the short straw because like no surprise, big Drew fan. But with my top, we're Scottish. We love Drew McIntyre. As much as like he's had a tough time, he still was the champion for 5 minutes. He still won Money in the Bank. He still got some big wins. Kevin Owens has had nothing really. He's done all this work and he's got nothing to show for it. So I do get your point. I don't agree with Cody Rhodes being the champion for the whole year. I don't think it's helped him. Um, But this feud's been good for him. It's been good for him, and it's amazing that he still isn't as polarizing as I thought he would be. I thought people would be a lot more burnt out with him, but um, it was a good match. It was a good match, and I think there was less. It's because there was no bullshit with this match. Like he won clean and he won with fair and just no bullshit. So I don't know, but I get your point. But in terms of the match itself, it was good.
Delicate character work has kept Cody as over as a babyface as he is. Now I don't know if this podcast is going to end up being me, the major over and analyzer, and you, the more emotional
A hundred
person of
percent,
this.
a
But
100%. Like,
the
I'd love that to be
analysis,
flipped.
the analysis I have of Cody is that his year has been okay. I'm now the vanilla babyface. towards, Clash at the Castle. I'm gonna hit you with these steps, even though I know I don't need to, and I've won the match already. To the point, I'm gonna have to do everything I can to put you down. Cody has been through his character in the last 12 months. He's been slapped around by The Rock. He's been package pile driver by Kevin Owens. Um, he's been consistently berated on the microphone by pretty much everybody he's come up against, but he has come with this almost more never say die attitude, but also anger, which might eventually lead to a heel turn and a good one too. But it's also kept his character far more interesting than John Cena's ever did. If you were to compare the two as like the vanilla white meat baby face, that's probably what you would go back to. His character has changed and evolved, and it's been a little bit more clever for me. Yeah, but with regards to match, um, I enjoyed it. It was probably it could be my favorite match of the card, and that includes the men's Royal Rumble because there are moments that we'll get to that I just need off my
Sure.
chest.
You sure it wasn't the tag team match, 2 out of 3 falls? Match of the year
Uh,
contender.
let's skip that one.
Cool. Yeah, so let's get straight to it then. The men's Royal Rumble. Um, Probably, I don't know how do you want to start it. It's like, you know, obviously you've got the winner, but before that, so much happens. Um,
Rapid fire.
m-
What's on your mind?
my main thing, and this is a big criticism of Triple H's Royal Rumbles, is that the way it's done, you have filler guys that you just know aren't going to win coming out in the first half, and then all the good guys come at one second half. I'm just not a fan of it. There needs to be a way to, split up. I thought the perfect thing would have been, and I know he's not wrestled that much, but he would have had to get Roman Reigns in at like 5 or 6. And he's enemies with everyone. He could have just had face-off stare downs with people, all different guys coming in because he's literally feuded with everyone, right? Or had beef with everyone. You could have had someone who you thought could be a potential winner in earlier instead of having filler can't be arse guys for the first 15 and then all of a sudden you have what was it like Cena, Punk, Rollins come out one after another. It happened last year where all the good guys came in the last 5, 6, all the credible guys that were going to win, and it's just like that as a fan you're watching it, you're just sort of waiting for the next entry to come out because you get to a point where you're like, oh, I'm still waiting on Punk, I'm still waiting on Rollins, I'm still waiting on um Cena. Do you know what I mean? It's just the flow of it. One or two. One or two. Like I like that Penta came in Ray. That was a cool moment. I liked how he was Iron Man Penta. They're really building him up. Actually, I didn't like that at all, really. But anyway, talking
Should he have been?
shite. Well, I mean, it's a
Well,
bit
I mean,
like
if you're
what.
considering, straight away.
Well, yeah, yeah, but you know what? He's never been in a Royal Rumble before. It's unnew. He definitely had the fear there. That was not no fear. He was fearing. Look, and something else we've spoken about is probably one of the biggest blunders of the Rumble. Why no Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods popping up? Just criminal that it didn't come out even. I know you've got more in that than I do.
Oh, I have a think about that as well. So I agreed before I watched Raw. I agreed with that, and really thought, yeah, can you imagine, the booking of Kofi coming out or Xavier coming out, and everybody in the ring stops, looks at them and says, "No, no, no, you're not getting in here. You're not getting in here." And that's maybe the spot that you could have used for someone like Speed or somebody else, or a surprise, maybe like a "You're not getting in here." I'd rather have Joe Hendry than you. Bang! Somebody said his name. There's just subtle things you could have done
Yeah,
which could have
nice,
slightly changed
nice.
things out. But
Nice
um,
fantasy booking there. I like that. That was
but
actually very
having
good.
but having Kofi not appear at all, that heel turn was, at the time I hated it, then came round to it, and I was right to hate it because they've done nothing. But then
Mm.
comes Raw, then comes the new, very strange
I
entrance
liked it.
theme
I
with
liked it.
well, they've been Death Rebels, but it's fine. They look a bit different, but maybe the presentation of them was just like not ready for the Rumble, and that's why they kind of had to wait that out a little bit, which is fine. I agree with a lot of the points you've made on the structure, though. I think as a result, when you leave the best or the biggest names, the credible winners to the end, on the most part, then it removes the shock of who's coming next because, well, you know we've got Cena coming, you know we've got so and so coming. Like there's maybe smarter ways to do that, which is, to be honest, why I think, and the crowd was slightly dead throughout a lot of the card anyway, and it might be to do with the stadium, it might be to do with the
Yeah,
size, but was it also just that they knew kind of what was coming? Not sure they
yeah,
knew what was finishing, but
yeah.
they maybe knew what was coming.
Well, I mean, I wasn't smart enough, but I forgot Logan Paul said he was in the Rumble. So at number 30, I was just expecting to hear Randy Orton's music, and then it was Logan Paul's. Like, oh, fuck, of course it's Logan Paul's music. But yeah, nah, you're right. I think they could have been a lot smarter with it. Um, yeah, like, I even thought there was like moments there, like Joe Hendry, great moment, him coming in. But I just, why is Drew not in the ring? Even have a stare off. Do you know what?
A
That's
lot of
just
history
the,
between them.
yeah, that's just the Scottish mark in me.
My
But
yeah, yeah, my biggest disappointment with the Joe Hendry debut on WWE television is that he didn't come in on a Hendry ball.
well, give it a TNA champ. I think that's a good
I'm
step
sure
up.
he'd yeah, he'd probably have, to be fair, he'd probably rather have had that. But yeah, having seen Joe Hendry come to the ring to a Miley Cyrus parody back with you at Fear and Loathing in 2016, one of the best shows and
We
nights of our lives.
Yeah, where Drew was champion and dropped the belt to Grado with Mick Foley botching his interference. But anyway, um, yeah, but I thought it, like, apart from the structure and the order, I thought it was actually well put together Rumble. Really, I thought there was a lot of good stuff that happened. The face off with Cena, was it Cena Reigns and Punk, and then Rollins coming in after, was pretty cool.
That's why they
Just
would have done that late.
yeah. Yeah, but
But
I think Rollins could have still been in the ring. He could have stayed on the floor. Do you know what I mean? Like,
it's
just because you
it's the idea of having these guys come out at once, was probably for that. But it does also come back to the point I made on the women's rumble. But like for half of this, right? The first half, you're right. It was you're getting a spot, you're getting to do some moves, blah 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 blah. And then the second half was like, oh, big guns, big guns. But also the second half was when the stories were built and the stories
mm,
were referred back to. The first half was slightly like just, doing bits, I
mm.
guess, and giving people
what
the moment.
what I will say is, I'm like not calling it, I don't just hate, I don't hate them, but like apart from Santos Escobar and Otis, there wasn't much filler. Like there wasn't too bad in terms of people coming out. Like it wasn't like, oh,
No
and
Austin
like
Theory, no Grayson
yeah,
Waller.
no Street Profits. I know they had a 7.4, but not them, and not Kevin Owens coming back after a title match. Like there was no like filler where you're like, oh, I mean, I guess Akira
No Karrion
Tozawa would
Cross.
no Karen Cross, but he had a backstage thing which was going to lead to something with Zayn in it. But you had actual speed. Look, it's not my generation. I would rather have, you know, I would say Drew Carey, but I wouldn't actually. Like that's before my time. I don't know who I would have in mid 2000s, but like it's not for me. But look, if you are going to get these streamers, he took a good spear. He took a really good bump. So you can't really. It worked. So it's annoying that one of those guys took the place of someone more credible, but
It's
you
the era
know,
we live in, isn't it?
yeah, look, and yeah,
It
of
gave them
course,
exactly what they wanted.
yeah, exactly,
It was spot on what they were looking for. And
yeah,
I got a question I
um,
say on that. Just
yeah.
quick, is Braun Breaker's spear the best? And I include your favorite Rhino's gore in that.
Oh, yeah, yeah. It's just because of the speed he goes to the ropes. I mean, I think I can't think of anyone who does a better spear. I actually don't like the spear as a move. It's just so overused, isn't it? But it's always a good move because the easy one that you can do when you try at home. For
I can tell
someone
you
who's not.
someone whose spear is maybe not so good.
Is it the guy who climbed the ropes at the end of the night, pointed to the side and went,
That's exactly who I was talking about.
oh,
Viking Meister has done it.
yeah.
Let's. There's a few things still to talk about. And I think we'll maybe talk about them a little bit more as we think about WrestleMania going forward,
Yeah, yeah.
because I'm certainly covering our man for Scotland. But what did you think of the finish?
I thought the finish was perfect. I just didn't like the guy who won it. I thought if they were going to do a shock value, I thought Sami Zayn would have been the one. But I thought the way they did it was great. I thought when the two of them were outside the ring, hanging onto the ropes, and Jay tried to kick him, whatever, and Cena got him up for the AA. I thought it was over, and yeah, I was shocked. You're not shocked. It completely got me. Like the finish, I thought it was just it looked like a botch, but it wasn't a botch. And I thought that's what's so good about it.
I've been waiting for them to do something bold. And I don't just mean like the winner of the Rumble. Clearly, right? That's one of the most bold decisions that you could come up with. But actually, the winning of the Rumble, the way that it's done, like some of the shocks, the elimination of Cena was so nonchalant or so random and just like as you say, it looked like a botch. It was more, oh crap, that wasn't meant to happen from Cena. His facial expressions obviously spot on, etc. Um, but it just goes to show like the jeopardy, the margins. It wasn't like a oh here's this moment, hooray! It was like oh my god, whoa, what just happened? And that makes you feel emotions, and that's what wrestling's all about.
Yeah,
Was really
that's
quite happy with the way that that
uh,
went,
yeah. I
and I
was
slept on the result as well, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah, look, so am I. I was angry at the time because you're right. When you watch it live, you've always got expectations. Unless the guy you really want to win wins, you're always going to be a bit disappointed. And I think with Charlotte Flair winning, if Cena won, I would have been fine with it. I also been happy with it. It's a bit predictable. I think for Cena's story, it's better that he didn't win. His promo after in the press conference thing when, he's sounded a bit desperate, a bit more heelish, a bit more real. That character arc is just going to get stronger. So I think that was great. Also, I like that Jay has gone for the world title, and I think the guy, as much as I don't think he's the best wrestler. He's high merit seller. He does have the crowd. I know he's got a stupid yeet thing, and his wrestling's not the best, but
You
the
love it.
guy is, yeah, he's good, right? And I think he does deserve it. Like he's in one of that pool. He does deserve a main event, and I think for him and Gunter has not been presented very well since we winning the title. But he also deserves that big spot, and I think that like for the world heavyweight championship to main event night one is perfect. But also, it's exciting not knowing what's happening with the other championship, Corey's championship. It's exciting now because you don't quite know what's going to happen. I mean, you do know, but you don't quite know. And I think that's what makes it exciting that that title has not been decided yet. Because if The Rock hadn't been The Rock, that was the match, right? Probably for this year's Mania. So the fact that they're doing, the fact that we don't know what's happening with that title is great. It's really, really good and exciting. And I think it's the right call. And the more I think about it, the more I think it's actually the perfect winner. I just wish he didn't win fight Gunter a couple of weeks ago because that's a Triple H formula, right? Challenger fights the champion, loses, but then will win. And further down the line, we saw it with Drew and Seth. We've seen it with um. God, there's been a few that's happened with, and I can't even think.
Sammy.
So yeah, Sammy Gunter. We saw
It
it with
will
Braun Breaker.
happen with Braun
Yeah,
Breaker and Sheamus.
yeah, but it also happened with Braun Breaker and who's
Jay?
Intercon. No, no, Sammy. Sammy, when Sammy was Intercontinental Champion, when Braun
Yeah.
Breaker Money in the Bank. Thinking, well, why did it not just happen Money in the Bank? Why did it have to wait to a big pay per view SummerSlam to happen? So it happens quite a lot in the Paul Levesque era. But now, look, I think. I mean, more than I think potentially Sami Zayn could get into that match. Potentially, I don't know how, but potentially that's if Kevin Owens is going to fight Orton at Mania. That potentially could happen. But nah, I don't know. I think it's a no-brainer, really.
Well,
Uh,
I got a question for you. Well, two. One is more a point. Like you mentioned, The Rock. The Rock clearly in the last, well, since Netflix got a little bit overexcited, I think it's fair to say, and started to just throw around random dates and ideas to feed people stuff, when really he was, if he's not going to be there, he's not there, and therefore they have to pivot. So they gave us all an idea of something that might happen that was never going to happen, and that happened so many times. I'm sick of seeing his
Uh-huh.
face. Like, I love the pop, I love the final boss, but like when you're here, stay here and do your shit. Stop coming up because you need to. Don't ruin bad blood by making an appearance and going.
Yeah, it's just it's just
Sorry to the listeners, I was slapping my wrist or going one,
where
two, three. It's just, oh man,
where
yeah.
our guy could have been main event in that night. But anyway,
But the
should
other question that I had, just very quickly, was you did say, and this does go, I guess, into the next conversation a little bit. We're going to talk about Drew. Don't worry. But you mentioned that Cody, it's really obvious what's going to happen there. Enlighten me. I have no idea what's coming up for Cody this WrestleMania.
so it also tied in what happened with Roman Reigns and CM Punk and Seth Rollins. Well, this is a little bit of fancy booking for me, from my point, but I think it also makes the most sense. I'm ignoring dirt sheets and the rumors on this for what people have already penciled in. But what I think will happen is Elimination Chamber by hook by crook. I don't know how he does it, but Cena wins by pinning Punk. I don't know how he does it, but he wins and he goes to Mania. Then Punk goes to Heyman and asks for that favor, and he gets in the match, and that becomes that triple threat match. Don't know. That's what I see happening, and I think if you're going to do Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, you do it one on one. You don't need CM Punk in there, especially with no title win. You go Punk, Cody Rhodes, Cena for the title. CM Punk gets his WrestleMania main event. Roman Reigns doesn't need to main event Mania again. Seth Rollins doesn't need to main event WrestleMania again. But they both deserve to fight at WrestleMania. I don't know about you, but I want to see that match. There's so much like blood there, blood there. So much. Well, this is the feud's there, built from last year as well. So I just think it's a no-brainer that, and I think Punk, you put him in the title match, and then you do a three-way dance.
This is like an issue again with booking, but not maybe not. It's a great issue to have. Um, like the amount of intertwining stories and they kind of have beef with them, blah blah blah, and it's all kind of intertwined. You could book that so many different ways. You could have Rollins and Punk, and people would be like, "Yeah, I want to see that."
We've seen it
Um,
though.
but well, you could have it properly. They clearly still hate each other. I mean, that was the debut of Netflix. I know we've seen it, but you could have that Mania as a real blood feud. But no, you're probably right, and I feel like an idiot for bringing that up.
Yeah,
But
because you can
but
do that in triple threat match, and it's just going to
you
be
could
Rollins
slot
taking the
people
pin.
in. You could slot people in, but let's stop being around the bush because there is one topic that we want to talk about to bring us into the WrestleMania picture. And I think it does cover what I was just mentioning about intertwining stories and things. And you could book this, you could book that. But there's people clearly who are missing out, who may deserve more. One man, 100% on that list for me is Dominic Mysterio, and I have no idea what he's going to be doing at Mania. Um, okay, fine. Go on. Tell us about Drew McIntyre.
You're not wrong about Dominic. To be fair, I think he deserves to be doing something. I think you need to get a title on him. Give him the US title. Just give him something. He deserves it. But yeah, Drew he fights with everyone and
Puts them over.
puts them over. CM Punk has done nothing since returning to the company. Drew McIntyre has made CM Punk relevant again, and also in the good books of all wrestling fans. You know, Drew, rightly so, MVP last year. The thing is, when he came back after Bad Blood, I thought they were starting booking him good with this bounty hunter gimmick thing where he's beating Sami Zayn, beating Jey Uso, and then Raw on Netflix happened, and it's like, oh well, we'll scrap all that, roll up into Jey Uso because we know he's winning the Rumble. Seth Rollins needs a win because he just lost to Punk. Got to keep him strong. He's the ultimate company man, ain't he, Drew? But yeah, sorry,
Nobody
it's
wants to see the match.
not even Drew's wife would want to see that match with David Priest. No one wants to see that match with Priest. We've seen it. Drew doesn't need redemption on Priest. He's a guy that's gone stale. The what happened in the Rumble is well documented that Drew wasn't happy, whether
We
it's Logan
saw
Paul.
it. We
Yeah.
saw it though. Like at Clash, we saw it.
Yeah.
Um, and it's not a feud you need to redo. Like, I don't know.
Mm.
They've done it.
It's just do you know what it is? I think the right plans for Drew, past Mania, post Mania, always is, right? But I think it could be too late. I think the way he's been booked, all of a sudden, because we were talking about it, if Drew fought Roman Reigns, right, tomorrow, Drew loses all the time, right? Roman
Yeah.
Reigns, you just know Roman Reigns is going to go over, right? So it's like every time Drew's in a match, I'm like, oh, just win. And then he doesn't. You're like, for fuck's sake. Like, the guy has done so much work, even stuff like, with Busted Open that he did at the start of the year, was just incredible. And I don't understand it. He got this contract and he's just been screwed over. Now, I know people in America won't think much of it, but it's still such a big deal that he lost in Glasgow. Such a big deal. And he's never got the, what's the word, like reward for losing. Essentially, that was such a big deal. And all it did was
He's
benefit
had no
Punk.
rewards across, apart from that little title win.
The, the sword he got. He did get a sword.
Yeah, I wonder if Drew's unfortunately been a victim of the issue that we had with Bronson Reed because he was brought back much earlier than he would have been. And had there been more time and he was like a shock reveal at the Rumble or something, then maybe that says something else up in the future. But we needed a break from Drew, and we were forced more Drew upon us, and unfortunately, it's not with any changes to the booking. And as a
Mhm.
result, if it is Priest, if Drew goes to SmackDown and it is Priest that he's fighting, I for one am left disappointed for him. I think he deserved more.
Yeah, no, agreed. Like his elimination summed it up. It was just flat. Like what? And the fact that it was Priest, I hope they don't fight at Mania. I think Priest was there was once upon a time that he was getting a bit of momentum, but the Judgment Day thing has just sucked the life out of him. And booking him strong against them just it didn't help. It's not a feud that we want to see really. But I mean, I can go. We can go on and on about Drew. I mean, I'm sure as the weeks go on, we'll talk about like he's my favorite guy. Is he your favorite guy? He's up
Probably
there.
is. Yeah.
Yeah. But like we want Drew, there's a
Sorry, even
movement.
though I'm wearing a CM Punk t-shirt. I'm sorry, Drew. I bought it the same night of Clash. I didn't think he would do that to you, but it's my only
Yeah.
wrestling t-shirt. I'm not
Nah,
gonna lie.
every pod we record, I'm wearing this. Every podcast wearing the Drew McIntyre top.
As long as you
Yeah.
wash it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we got a space bit between recordings, but yeah, look, there's still time to turn it around, but I think with him, he's the biggest casualty. But look, there is a movement. We want Drew on X that's going on right now. The same, I think they're trying to do the We Want similar to We Want Cody. I don't think we'll have the same punch, shall we say? But look, we spoke a lot about WWE, Mark. I don't know if you want to talk about the other wrestling that's going on right now.
Yeah, let's take a break. We've covered quite a lot, really mostly of the Royal Rumble and a little bit about what implications that could have for Mania. Interested to hear your thoughts and fantasy booking ideas. Has anything we've said been utter bullshit? Has anything sparked an interest? That's for sure. But it would be remiss to not have a look around what else is going on. There's huge development, or has been and will continue to, in the world of American wrestling, North American wrestling, particularly when we think about TNA. New champion Joe Hendry gets to appear at the Rumble. For some reason, Bradshaw, JBL is going around assaulting everybody as the last outlaw that I'm sure you are enjoying. But
Yeah.
TNA's big thing is getting this deal with WWE. and a lot of people appearing now on WWE television, um,
Mhm.
in NXT and the Rumble, etc. Is this relationship good for TNA, or is this perhaps WWE's way of taking talent? And I don't know. How do you see this going? It's a very interesting proposition, and always weird to hear Michael Cole, particularly, mention TNA titles and knockouts, etc.
Yeah, it is weird. I mean, I quite find that refreshing. And when they start mentioning other promotions, I think everyone's in, it's wrestling community, right? Uh, I think it will. I think time will tell. What I think they need to do is because when they started doing it before it was official partnership, you always had like the TNA guy losing NXT and vice versa, really. And I think it's interesting because the first real test is next week. So if you've caught NXT, you have seen that JDC, formerly known as Fandango, came out and interrupted what's his name, Lexus King.
Yeah,
Um, and he's got a match next week for the Heritage Cup or something, whatever it is, against each other. So I think that's a big test. And I think that JDC needs to win that. I think it's just a way of really showing that it's not just um, TNA just getting a cheap invite, whatever, a sympathy invite, to be a credible threat. I do think there needs to be that sort of interchangeable championship. I think it's good for publicity, but I think the fact it's now, I liked it when it wasn't an official partnership. I understand why it's been done, but I don't know. I think it needs to be worthwhile, not just like a cheap pop or like
yeah.
a
That's
rating
it. It's a
boost. Yeah,
it's a popping rating. TNA is gonna have Trek Williams on it. Oh my God, gotta go see him.
yeah,
Versus like these guys coming in, like JDC, like Fandango. Oh, you've appeared before on WWE. You're a name in the business. Come here and let us make stars out of our stars using your stars. It could be
yeah.
interesting, but I think it's like you say, it's quite refreshing. Before we close, I also want to just touch on AEW. Not a promotion that you have
I'm,
taken much interest in recently.
No, look, I used to be a fan, but now I've just migrated or to being a full Fed head now.
You are a fan,
So
Ted.
I'm a Fed head with maybe a sprinkle of TNA now because of the partnership. Um, but yeah,
Understandable.
yeah,
I can't
yeah.
honestly say you're missing out on much at the moment. AEW for me has put on some incredible pay-per-view special event shows and continue to and always do. But the storytelling, I ever since the MJF Adam Cole feud, which was very sports entertaining, they kind of lost a little bit of what made them who they were, standing out.
Mhm.
And the Death Riders angle was put in place to bring it back to what they want it to be, and to bring them their identity back and have Darby Allin possibly be the one to take back the title, but he wants to go climb Mount Everest. Uh, so they're having to keep the Death Riders busy with whoever they can. And here to save AEW from being the sports entertainment company is a man who formerly had sex in a WWE ring with his girlfriend, Cope. Yeah, I think if you had your skip button, you'd probably use it on this conversation for AEW. If you're a fan of the Death Rider stuff, be interested to hear your thoughts. Can definitely explore it in more detail. But really, I think there's only one show in town at the moment, and we've covered it. It's WWE. It's big on Netflix. Um, Getting to see it, although my dad has just recently updated his Netflix, so I now no longer have access because he doesn't have the multi-screen thing.
Oh,
So I need
give
to.
the boy an account in the comments. Give Mark
If
on
you,
the Mark's podcast. Oh,
yeah, I
subscription.
mean, if you can, we take gifts, we take promotions. If anyone wants
Take
to,
this.
if anyone wants to sponsor the only mark in the FiveMarks network, a Netflix account, so that I can continue watching wrestling, WWE legally. That'd be really nice. Um, so yeah, let us know. We'd be happy to hear from you.
But,
But is there anything else in the world of wrestling that's taken your attention in the last wee while or so?
no, look, I'll probably just say we're in the podcast game, right? So I just want to shout out, like he's good listening to here. But like, in terms of podcast recommendations, I'm well into Chris Van Vliet's wrestling podcast insights. I think if anyone who wants to get a good insight into the life of certain WWE superstars, AEW superstars, TNA superstars, that's a really good podcast to listen to. That's something that all my runs in the gym definitely love listening to in terms of like, there's some really good guests on it. It's had recently, like it's had Sheamus on it recently, Jordan Grace was on it, the Hardys were on it. So it's some really good ones. So I just think away from the actual wrestling themselves, there's some really good wrestling content out there. But I mean, in terms of our content, Mark, there's a lot coming up here in the channel. This is just a pilot episode. We've got a lot more planned in terms of stupid content as well, don't we? But
Yeah, plenty more to come on the FiveMarks network, which you can find on Instagram at FiveMarks Podcast, as well as on YouTube. On X, you can find us at FiveMarks Pod. We do want to see if we can get a name or something for this particular piece of the FiveMarks puzzle. Interested in everyone's thoughts and feedback, etc. But yeah, we're hoping to run this every couple of weeks, talking about the big stuff. None of the Irish pish. Talking
yeah,
about the big stuff.
just remember, fuck Motor City Machine Guns.